Hello everyone, and welcome back to Eorzea Armoire, a series about the background of some of Heidelin's more epic and dense weapons, armor, and artifacts. We'll be investigating the lore of these items both within Final Fantasy XIV and the Final Fantasy franchise in general, as well as the amazing and sometimes obscure real-world people, events, and artifacts upon which they are based. The way of war is a way of deception. When able, feign inability. When deploying troops, appear not to be. When near, appear far. When far, appear near. Lure with bait. Strike with chaos. If the enemy is full, be prepared. If strong, avoid him. If he is angry, disconcert him. If he is weak, stir him to pride. If he is relaxed, harry him. If his men are harmonious, split them. Attack where he is unprepared, appear where you are unexpected. This is victory in warfare. It cannot be divulged in advance. Victory belongs to the side that scores most in the temple calculations before battle. Defeat belongs to the side that scores least in the temple calculations before battle. Most spells victory, least spells defeat, none sure defeat. I see it in this way, and the outcome is apparent. As a discipline focused on privileged academic knowledge, we can expect the relics of the Nemean scholar to be similarly as dense and esoteric as those of their cousins among the Allegan summoners. Although it is both of these things, the Omnilex is also rather elegant in its directness. For instance, the lexicology of this grimoire can tell us a great deal with little effort. We have two bound morphemes, omni and lex. The former is from the Latin omnis, meaning all, every, the entirety of every kind abundant. Lex as a free morpheme is a product of lawmaking, either a particular statute or a general system or body of legislation. However, as a suffix, it acts as a derivative which appeals to vocabulary and language. So as a word, Omnilex has a double meaning. It is a complete inventory of language, a thesaurus of every known tongue on Heidelin, but it is also a complete inventory of law, not just law conceived by the nations of Eorzea, but of omni-law, universal law, in a word, metaphysics. The base and essential truths of Heidelin and the universe in which it resides. It imparts knowledge of the ethereal atomism of life, the structure of the universe, and the nuances of the Heidelin zodiac duality laid out both directly and completely in the kind of divine geometry of which the Arcanists would later develop some basic working knowledge and use to develop texts of their own. Similar geometrical practices with the intention of improving the flow of ether into the wielder were used on the cover of the grimoire. They were likely derived from those of the Allegans, and they are evidently more effective than the patterns that are to be found on any more contemporary tomes. But the capacity for the Omnilex is not quite met even here. As with the other relics, Geralt manages to glean a vague understanding of the context and content of the Omnilex. As I've said, it was published by the Nemeans, a culture that experienced its golden age around the War of the Magi shortly before the 6th Umbral era, some 1600 years ago. The Nemean scholars were renowned for securing decisive victories against Amdapori and Belladine hosts despite facing unfavorable odds and what should have been unfavorable conditions. Histories have recorded the role that the Omnilex played in developing and implementing strategies in many of these battles across Villbrand, and so the grimoire is evidently also a dense and effective compendium of military tactics, not purely an academic text by any means. The most evident allusion here is to Sun Tzu's The Art of War, which explores such a notoriously effective military philosophy that it is still commonly circulated and studied by contemporary leaders both within and without purely military disciplines. So in a single deft volume we have here a complete encyclopedia, dictionary, and thesaurus of every language known to the Nemeans, an opus of pure reason and metaphysics equivalent to an Eorzean anthology of Descartes, can't, and Heidegger all rolled into one, and a practical and tactical guide to warfare that remains incredibly potent even millennia after its composition. All of this accompanied with ethereal conducive geometry to easily translate any of these ideas into powerful and versatile magics, and so brilliantly appendixed that the wielder can find any motive information within just a few moments. An approximate analogy might be that an Omnilex is like the internet without the stupidity, politics, and pornography. It must be said, however, that such a relic would be nearly useless in the hands of an amateur to the scholarly traditions of Nim. As with the other relics, the power of the weapon is constituent on the experience and knowledge of the wielder. And in the case of the Omnilex, its progression in power through the relic questline is due as much to the wielder's advancing study of the text as it is to alterations made to the tome itself. Despite this remarkable relic, we still know very little of the culture and fate of Nim. It is supposed that the city was torn from the realm due to an over-aspecting of corrupted wind crystals. And although some scattered ruins remain above Ogomoro, I have my own suspicions regarding where the rest of the city finally settled. We shall find out soon enough. I hope very much that you have enjoyed this entry of the Armoire, and as usual, if you have any thoughts that complement or contradict my own ideas about this relic, please leave a comment below along with any kind of requests for this series, or anything else you'd particularly like to see on the channel. I have a few new and exciting series planned based on recent feedback, so if that's something you think you might look forward to, please take just a moment to subscribe and share the channel with your friends. But until next time, thank you for watching. I'm Ethys, and this is Eorzea Armoire.